Okay, so welcome here, everyone. We're in the library this week as there's some reconstruction work happening in the hall. So I apologise for the smaller space, although it might be more of an intimate space in some ways. We'll see how it goes. So it just leaves me really to welcome you here as I've done, and to welcome Francesca and Rita back, who tonight are going to share with us something on Vedanta, which I think is very close to their hearts. So I won't say any more, and I welcome you.
Thank you. Lovely. So, like we did last time, we start chanting Om 3 times, and then reciting the Guru Stotram. Today, like we did last time, today we would like to add some slokas in honor to Adi Shankaracharya, which is the actually prominent figure in the Advaita Vedanta philosophy. So like we did last time, either you follow chanting with us or just close your eyes and feel the mantras. It's a lovely experience for all of us. So inhaling together and exhaling. Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvadvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Dilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Babati Tam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namah Akandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurur Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Saksham Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnana Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Dhanamulam Gurur Murti Pujamulam Gurur Padam Mantramulam Gurur Vakyam Mokshamulam Guru Kripaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Sorry, it's in the third page. Yes, we had the slokas for Adi Shankaracharya. Yes, yes. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Kesavam Badarayanam Sutrabhasa Krito Vande Bhagavantu Punah Punaha Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidanandamurtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase Shri Sagurudeva Te Namaha Shri Baba Bajaranga Te Namaha Shri Tiraswami Paramahansa Te Namaha Shri Shankara Tirakananda Swami Paramahansa Te Namaha Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you very much for being here. A lot of you were already here for the first talk that we did that was about the Vedas. Our Vedic name are Rakshakari and Ashoka, and we are coming from an Orthodox yoga school which is based in India and in Spain. So we are dressed like this, just to follow the protocol and the teaching of our guru. So we are here today now to share a little bit more about the Vedanta, which is the last portion of the Vedas. So we saw last time that the Vedas are divided in 4 books, and in each book they are divided in 4 parts. So we have the Samhitas and the Brahmanas, which constitutes what is called Karmakanda. So the chapter, the path of the action, and were meant for the Brahmacharis and the householders. So first of all, in the Vedic life, you study the mantra, you study the knowledge, and you perform rituals. After that, when you start actually detaching, so after 50 years, when you are 50 years old or older, you start detaching yourself from the worldly activity slowly. And what you do is studying the other part, the Aranyakas, in which these external sacrifices you perform in an inner way, in an inner dimension, so through meditations. The last part of the Vedic life is the sannyasa, in which you already have cut all the attachments of the exterior world. You live like an ascetic and retired in an ashram, and you study the last part of the Vedas, which are called the Upanishads, which are even called Vedanta because it's the last portion of the Vedas. Remember that Vedas in itself means knowledge, so it's the ultimate knowledge, which is given to a proper student through the teaching of the Guru, so being at the feet of a master. So we saw that everyone is eligible for the knowledge, but needs to have a certain qualifications, which in Sanskrit you say adhikara. Before even studying the Vedanta, what you actually start to study are some texts that help the mind to be purified and to be ready for grasping this knowledge. We saw that if we have already the glass half full of our knowledge, what will, even now if the master is pouring not pure knowledge, it will be contaminated with our perception of what is good and what is wrong. So we will grasp just what actually resonates with us, and we will discard the rest. So in order to step further, we need different qualification. Shankaracharya in the Viveka Chudamani says it's called sadhana chatustaya. So that we need 4 qualification. The first one is viveka, which is discrimination. It is said, no? Nitya nitya vastu viveka. So discrimination between what is real and what is unreal, what is permanent and what is not permanent. To do this, it's a long path that you actually study today, no? Self-analysis, logic, and reasonings, and with the help of your master. The second qualification is vairagya. Vairagya means non-attachment, dispassion, which is a nice word, but it's really difficult to achieve. Dispassion, non-attachment, not just of our actions, not doing something or avoiding this, but non-attachment on even our system beliefs, even what we think is good or is wrong. So really deeply analyzing the nature of our mind. I was really surprised when I first came in contact with yoga, that it's really something really logical and analytical. Yoga is something that actually you acquire through practice. It's called abhyasa, strenuous practice, because yoga is something really hard to get and to achieve, and it's really easy to just forget, unless it becomes your life. So you are not practicing, you are in yoga. This reminds me of actually there is a chain of samsara. So the root cause of our ignorance, of our affliction, is called avarana, which is the veil that actually, or ajnana, the veil that covers the true reality. From this, it actually springs the aviveka, so the contrary of discrimination, that we are not able to just see the real nature of things. From this, what actually is born is ahankara, our ego. That from this, what is born is called raga and dvesha. So it's called what we like and what we don't like. So each and every sensation we evaluate through this system of what we like and don't like. And so we color the impression that we have from the outside world. We don't just see things without, pure like they are. We link to our emotion and we judge each and every situation. From this, actually, the karmas, the action starts, and ultimately, the body. So we have a lot of spheres in which we can work into. One of the basic, Shankara says that the first upadi, so the first obstacle, is the body. Why this? Because we identify completely with the body. We think we are the body. Sometimes we think we are the mind, but we we are beyond that. What we have to discover is the identity of our soul, Jivatma, with the Paramatman, with Brahman itself. To do that, one of the first way is even studying what we are. So even studying the structure of the body. So to overcome what is called the Panchakosha. So you have it in different names, but actually they are coming from the same root. So the 5 sheets of the body. So in the Vedic culture, it is said that we have 3 bodies. So the physical body, Stula Sharira, it is called, which the first sheet is called Annamaya Kosha, which is made from the food that we eat. Then we have the astral, or the subtle body, Sukshma Sharira, which is made of 3 different sheets. So you have the first sheet, the Pranamaya Kosha, which is made from the air that we breathe, actually from the prana. The most injection of prana we can have is through the air, but prana is everywhere. And then we have another sheet, which is called Manomaya Kosha, which is the mind sheet. The other sheet is Vijnanamaya Kosha, which is the intellect sheet. Then you have the Karana Sharira, which is with the sheets. It is just one sheet, one kosha, which is Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss sheet. Knowing this, actually, it's a great help to overcome this and this ego identity, ego or ourself identifying with these 3 sheets. There was a great master, his name was Swami Shivananda, which was a great Advaitin master and was really practical. So he tried to put Vedanta in practice because we have a lot of names, but then be practical with these teachings. So one of the teachings was, okay, now without even starting these reasonings and this logic and everything, work with these 5 sheets. So control it. How? Control hunger and thirst. So fast, do tapasya, a lot of discipline and a lot of austerities. So control of hunger and thirst, you can control the Annamaya Kosha, the first sheet. Control, for example, heat and cold. So bear the difference of temperature. Then you can control the Pranamaya Kosha. Bear the injustice. Be always in this state of equanimity, independently from, success or failures. And you control Manomaya Kosha. Or controlling the fluctuation of the mind. Control, for example, the sleep and the tamas, the inertia. And you can control the Annamaya Kosha. So sometimes this was why, because sometimes you were people that were trying just discussing about Brahman and then the division. Now the Jivatman is different but not yet the same. So they will start reasoning and disputing about everything, but they were not practical. They were not living these teachings. They were basically, we a lot of time we can say we are not the body, but ultimately, if we hurt, we say, oh yes, I'm really this body. So to actually experience, to actually believe in something, can be said that you can go through, that can be through all these paths. So what the Guru is teaching you, what the scripture are saying to you, and your experience. Unless you experience something, can be kind of a blind faith. But if you have the experience, then it's part of your system belief and everything. So you live it. So this was just a little kind of overview. Talking about the Vedanta in itself, you have 3 basic tests. It's called Prasthana Triya, which in itself are the canon. Canon, you said that? Yeah? Or of the Vedanta, which are the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, which is, we will see really soon, which is now the dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, and itself is considered as an Upanishad in itself. And then you have the Brahma Sutras, or the Vedanta Sutras, which actually, there are kind of 555 sutras, really dense and really hard and to get the meaning. So you have a lot of commentaries about the Brahma Sutras. One, for example, is the one of Shankaracharya, Ramanuja, or Madhva, that through these commentaries actually, then they shaped and they divided. In the Vedanta, you don't have just the Advaita Vedanta. You have no, the Dvaita Vedanta, the dualistic, the Vishista Dvaita, Veda Veda. There are different categories and different school of thoughts. All these different school of thoughts, what they have is actually they accept the authorities of the Vedas, like being Shrutis, so revelations. We saw now that the Eastern philosophies, even Jainism or Buddhism, they have the same source, but the Jainism and Buddhism, for example, they don't recognize this role of the Vedas, like the ultimate truth. While now the Hinduism, or Sanatana Dharma, how we want to call, recognize this role and this position. So actually, even in the third or fourth sutra of the Brahma Sutras, they say that the Vedas are Brahman itself. So direct revelation through these great seers called rishis of what reality and consciousness it is. Consciousness in itself, now we were even singing, it's even impossible to define, but often you will find defined like Satchidananda, which it means that has the attributes of knowledge, consciousness, and bliss altogether. We will just as well, just to give an overview, and then he will talk about some vidyas that there are in the Upanishad. So we will go through more deep thinking. Vedanta in itself, it's a darshana, so it's a philosophy, a school kind of vision inside the Hinduism. So there are 6 darshanas. One of these is Vedanta. Actually, it's the last one. We will see. We will study next week the Yoga Sutras. So yoga is one of these darshanas. We will have a talk as well. I don't know you are going to give a talk about Sankhya philosophy.
May.
Ah.
And I are doing
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Like now, the yoga is really deeply now rooted in the Sankhya philosophy. Even now, the Vedanta in itself. They all these now have a lot of things in common. They actually they differ in a lot of things. Another school is called Mimamsa, which actually deals more about the interpretation of the Samhitas and the Brahmanas. So as we said, the Karma Kanda, no? While the Vedanta in itself is even called Uttara Mimamsa, which is actually analyzing the nature of Brahman. So I leave you with Ashoka, and he will talk more about this.
Welcome everyone, first of all. It's very interesting what Rakshakari was saying as an introduction. She touched base on a wealth of information about Vedanta. We mentioned a lot of Sanskrit terms as well. What I was thinking is actually that what we share, first of all, in this reunion, is that all of us, first of all, are human beings. We are men, women. We do share some physical character, some mental character. I am talking about something, and you are receiving what I am talking about. You are hearing me, so we are able to communicate. To some extent, we are able to share something. We take it for granted. It's not actually a detail, or is not something that should be taken as a detail, as such an easy thing. Why I'm saying that? First of all, I am using words to express something, and you might understand what resonates with you, what for you is the meaning of the words I'm using. I can use Sanskrit terms and try to explain it to you. My explaining might be wrong or not accurate, and you might as well decode what I am telling you, again, with a little bit of distortion from what I was originally thinking about. Why am I starting with this statement? Because in it lies an important truth about knowledge. We do know through our mind, we do learn empirically through our senses and mentally through communication. We do create a structure, parents, the people we met, our teachers, ultimately, by the word, Nama, have been shaping our minds in order to decode or to archive everything is around us in the world. We are actually in a very interesting environment today, because what we have over here is a wealth of knowledge. We have thousands of people here who've been doing what we are doing today now. We are inquiring about life. We are sharing knowledge, we are sharing thoughts about life, and we have an incredible amount of words in those books. And truth might lie in each one of those books. We might have read probably some hundreds of those. So where the real understanding, where the real truth lies. In experience. And way above it, in existence. What we used to say at the beginning of Vedanta, of the inquiry about life, only life is. We wouldn't be able to inquire anything about life if we were not aware of being alive in the first place. So when we are talking about consciousness, awareness, the first and only point we are unable to question, to put in doubt, is existence. Why? Because existence itself, in the first place, is the originating point of what we remember as our life. We were born, all of us. We have gone through a path, some years. All along this path, from our originating point of what we were taught was our existence, our birth, we wouldn't even remember that moment specifically. We have been collecting experiences. Beware, we were collecting experiences apparently in a sequence, which tells us that we have some age and make us able actually to tell that we have a story behind us. Again, something that we take for granted. When we start approaching the inquiry about life, what we have in us is part of what we mention as Viveka. What is Viveka? Viveka ultimately is a feeling of something underlying. It's something like almost like a guess that there is a principle, a higher principle throughout our life and our life worldly experience. So we start searching. It might be at the beginning not conscious inquiry, Most of the time we would start as reading books or just observing some specific experiences in our life that would kind of surprise us, validating a little bit of that feeling. There is something higher, something I would really like to understand. Viveka comes with another word that Rakshagari mentioned, which is vairagya. Vairagya is, at the moment we understand that there is something higher, we start having a little bit of distaste, or we see the worldly lower experiences as not that tasteful anymore. We would like to elevate our conscience a little bit in order to grasp. We might still be unconscious about our inquiry. In the moment our inquiry about life becomes conscious, is when we start having a structure in what we do about it. Which means we start putting order in the information we receive, and more than anything, we start putting it into our life. We do start having present in every experience we have that little grasping principle. We are looking about, we are trying to see behind these shelves, almost like a curtain. We are trying to uncover actually what is that. Higher principle pulling us from inside that makes us actually sit here tonight. Let's take a step back to experiencing the experience. We have said, and probably we can accept, that we have a number of experiences in life, right? Where do they come from? What are we experiencing? How do we experience? We do have senses. We say we have 5 senses, right? These are tools, they are instruments. They enable us to perceive objects, people, living being around us. What do senses do? Senses are like open channels between something that we perceive as around us, outside of us, and our mind. We have 5 channels. That convey light, colors, shapes, sounds, smells, taste. We collect these signals and we decode them, creating something that is coherent, that makes sense within us. As an interesting inquiry around perception, we have to add another observation. Within our life, we experience a number of different states. Now we are in a state of awake. Later on, we will be asleep, and we will be in a specific kind of sleep, dreaming, which is an active sleep. And we will experience as well a state of deep sleep. These are, in the Vedic tradition, the three states we experience in worldly existence: wake, sleep, and deep sleep, with being very careful about differentiating deep sleep from normal sleep, in which our mind is active. We are dreaming, we are thinking. Putting all together what we have said, if we take the state of awake, right now, we can see each other, we can perceive each other, listen to noises. If we think about only the perception we have in our mind and we forget the body, we would admit that there isn't really much difference between the state of wake and the state of sleep. Meaning that in our dreams, we are able to see, we are able actually to act. The only difference is that we are not actively in our bodily senses. Right? Otherwise, there wouldn't be too much difference. It's just that we are probably we experience a little bit of more freedom. We can fly in our dreams and experience as it was really an experience of flying. We can displace ourselves in a second. We would have experience of, it's called lucid dreaming after the recent literature. Experience of lucid dreaming is almost like these very vivid dreams in which we almost think like we are absolutely alive. To the point that we are alive. What difference really makes between a vivid dream from a mind point of view and a normal awake state? Why did I start with this long introduction about life and perception? Because when we want to grasp, we have to take daring, a little bit of a leap of faith. We have to jump out of our limitations in order to be able, let's say, to access a different awareness, a different perception. Let me go back a second, because I would like to be clear on this. What I'm trying to say is that I can spend thousands of words, I can talk 20 years, but doesn't really mean anything if we don't put that, what I am saying, if we are unable to link that either to one of our experiences or at least the possibility
That is a nice one.
I can't believe I did that. There we go.
It's beautiful. We were saying what ultimately would mark us is not all the words that might be spending or that we have heard in all our life. What ultimately we would take with us is the experience or the possibility of an experience. Why am I saying that? I would like to take an example. Let's say that let's talk about aliens. Somebody tells us that he has seen an alien, unidentified object. Some of us would have a pattern in their mind that allows them to think that an alien is possible. Some others would not. This is an important difference, because in Vedanta and Vedic philosophy, you wouldn't be able to see an alien if you don't give you the chance to manifest it into your world. This is a very important difference. What makes the difference between allowing the possibility and don't allowing the possibility? Mind constraints only. Mind pattern. Thoughts. The process of loosening our limitations in our mind is called yoga. Yoga is the path and is the destination. Both. In order to allow a different perspective, a different perception, we have to perfect first the instruments and the decoding computer. Yoga, in this context, means a system, integrated, holistic system of practice to perfect our perception, with the objective to overcome our limitations. There is a further observation. What limitations? What limitations shall we overcome in order to loosen those constraints? I said earlier that we think of our life as a sequence of events, sequence of perceptions, experiences. This is a hint, is one actually of our limitations. We do perceive through causality. Causality, is that correct? Causality. We do associate an event with the following one, and we do relate those. More than that, we do perceive in space and time. So, I am talking to you. You see that there is a distance between me and you. I said something 2 minutes ago. You remember that.
No, fully.
That is another limitation, because we are not even perfect in that sense. If we would remember everything, that's an interesting point. Because actually, our memory is selective. That is another, but actually you're complicating things. Thanks. But let's stay with time, space, and causality. Because let's now take a step into absurd, okay? In possibilities. Me and you, I am talking, you perceive me as far away from you. And you perceive this word I'm saying now as occurred in the past. Already 10 seconds has passed, and I said now 10 seconds ago. Let's remove this. I am not far from you, I am within you, and I am not talking. You are creating me and my words. Why am I saying that? This is a challenge. Let's measure this, how much we are able, or we would like, or we are ready to accept this. Let's park it a second, and let's move on. There is a principle in the Vedas that we didn't mention last time, which says that the truth is one, and the sages call it with different names. If we think how difficult for us is to convey clearly a thought, communicating a thought to somebody else, we can understand why. When we actually think about Advaita Vedanta or Dvaita Vedanta, which means non-dual or dual, if we assume or we allow the possibility that truth is really one only, we shouldn't worry too much, right? Whether we are talking about Advaita Vedanta or Dvaita Vedanta, whether we are trying to convince somebody else that I am right and you are wrong. Another leap of faith. Let's take for a second in ourselves the point that ultimately, removing all words, all concepts, ultimately the truth is one. I'm asking you to challenge yourself with possibilities you are ready or not ready, but you're willing or not to think as possible. To kind of challenge yourself in a moment whether that might or not be true for you. Why am I doing this? I am taking a practical approach to the process of inquiry. Is the kid that understands heat only when burns in his hand and feels the pain. You think about one and you said it's not possible. What ultimately makes the difference is allowing the possibility and experiencing. I have searched for a long time for what was the truth. There is no, that I remember, there is no word telling what is true. I found I could only allow myself the possibility that truth is not a word. It's an experience. Might be true for me, maybe different for you. What I said is that while I am talking, you look at me and I am far away from you, each one of you. I am outside of you. But if you were dreaming of me, you would think that I'm within you. Where is the problem here? There is something going on. What actually makes possible for us to perceive something as alive? This is interesting. We see something around us that moves and we think is alive. There are many alive things. They told us that some trees, they don't move, but they're alive as well. We might think that crystals are alive as well. If we do actually perform some actions or expose some crystals to some energy, they change their structure. It's proven scientifically that happens. So how would that be different from our perception? There is a passage in the Upanishads that says that what is able to mix, has similar characteristics. And Swami Shivananda used to say that steel wouldn't mix with milk. They wouldn't mix themselves, right? Say that water and milk would. For me, or for you, in order to see me, what is common or similar between me and you that allows you actually to perceive me? Let's say that you are the water and I am the milk. I mean, I'm very white today. In this passage, I am very persistent, I was adverse to rational passages, like if it's like this, then it's like this, and then like this, and then suddenly everything is one. But be with me for a second. What is in common between me and you that allows me to get into your mind? There must be something in common. If I was a stone, if you were a stone, I don't know if a stone has got memory, might be even that. But there must be something that makes me intelligible. Is correct the word? Intelligible. Thanks. To you. Same, but different. I am jumping some steps, but ultimately, in the Vedantic
sharing or being normal as in everyone can relate to something, so we call it normal.
Yes.
And then it's sharing.
Yes. Yes, exactly. What I'm saying, what I'm trying to convey is a common characteristic between all of us, amongst all of us, that enables us to perceive each other. Enables the trees to perceive us, enables the crystals to perceive energy, the floor. In Vedanta, inquiry, process of inquiry, ultimately, there is only consciousness, bliss. There is a poem was composed by a young boy, 8 years old. This boy approached a sage, a wise man, asking him to teach him. And the teacher asked him, "Who are you?" The young boy, Shankaracharya, at 8 years old, replied with the Atma Shatakam. You have it in your handouts. The Atma Shatakam, Shankaracharya looked at this wise man and says, in a number of slokas, stanzas, I am not, I am not, I am not. I am Satchidananda.
Yeah, Shiva.
Right?
Shiva.
Shiva. Ultimately, consciousness, bliss. If we take a lead, I would say we try to figure out within us what is the real center of our intelligence. I'm trying to dig a little bit deeper in inquiring what we are or who we are. There is a process that is called the neti neti, a process in the Vedic tradition that would challenge you to say what you are and what you are not. If you are able to perceive something that's outside you, you would say, I am not that. I am not you, I am not the chair, I am not the book, I am not my hand. They can cut my hand, but I would still be there. Right? This is important because I think that I am my hand. Right? There are senses in here. I touch. This is me. If I am cut, my arm, my intelligence and my conscience is still there. I am not my arm. Yes, but I cannot get rid of some parts of my body. Otherwise, I wouldn't be there, right? There are some pieces that are really the right ones. That must be me. This is an interesting inquiry about what we really are. When we sleep, can we say that we are our heart, our head? That's why Vedic philosophy really stresses and goes back onto those basic points. The states, perception. Because in the simplest observations is where lies the real big deal. Just by observing the states, we would be able to find out some very interesting piece of knowledge about life. Another interesting thing we didn't touch base on is deep sleep. What happens during this deep sleep? Actually, if we wouldn't remember the moment before going to sleep or a past history, might actually be the same as death. What real difference? Except we have a previous memory. We remember that we had something in causality, time, space, that told us actually that there was something before. So that is deep sleep. If we wouldn't have that memory actually, or if we wouldn't actually be able to place that in the past, we would have experienced that. Or what we imagine would be that. In a leap of faith, it is said in the scriptures that the veil of Avarana would be lifted by continuous practice, and we would be able to overcome the missing piece of perception about deep sleep. Is that all? Sleep, deep sleep, awake. There are other states, and probably our friend would tell us something as well next time. There is in Om, have you seen the Om symbol? The Om symbol is almost like a number 3, right? And there is something coming out of the center of it. And then we have like a half moon, and then we have a
Oh,
dot.
you have it actually. Yes.
This symbol actually
Oh, sorry.
is a universal symbol, and it's another important. We could have another discussion
15 minutes.
about symbols, but this is a symbol for Om, Pur, Bhuva, Swaha. Pur, Bhuva, Swaha. 3 worlds, 3 states. The 4th would be Turiya, beyond the 3 worldly states. The dot. We have a dot in the middle of Shri Yantra. The dot is a universal symbol that is adimensional, hasn't got anything before, anything after. It's got no size. It's an interesting symbol actually to symbolize the absolute, or the perception of the absolute. Why would we choose the to show the highest state as a dot? We were having an interesting conversation after last meeting we had last Monday, and we were talking about perception of objects and what actually objects are. I would like to approach now from a different angle what we've been saying about perception. I would talk a little bit about science, or what science is finding out about objects and matter. The more we dig, we magnify an object, the more we go deep into the structure of matter, and the more we find nothing. We find an atom, and we want to know what's in the atom. And we find out that we have something that moves continuously and is nowhere. And we came up, the most accurate thing we could say is that either is either a stone with no energy, nothing at all, inert, or is a wave. There's a duality. Either we measure a wave, or we are unable to give it a one only nature. It's either a wave or a little particle. Either is alive with no body, or is a body with no life. That makes sense. And the more it has energy and life, the less it has a body. There's a percentage that actually balances, right? This is a principle of the duality of particles, subatomic particles. Quantum physics, actually, from the observation, actually there was an interesting video that we saw, one of our first meetings when we were present, would say that particles are not in one single place in space. Doesn't that challenge our perception? If an atom or an electron can be in the same instant in two different places, why couldn't we? That's what makes us, or at least we believe it. The process of yoga is the process of perfecting the instruments. Vidyas, we haven't had much time to touch base on those. Vidyas are pearls, are essential pieces of knowledge in the Upanishads that are like the best absolute sandpaper we can use to polish our instruments. We do meditate on Vidyas because are inspiring, condensated, all, I would say, with a specific structure of concepts that stimulate us to overcome our limitations. In Vedantic philosophy, it's absolutely fascinating to go and read in the Upanishads some specific Vidyas that are mind-blowing. Vaishvanara Vidya, Panchagni Vidya, Bhuma Vidya. There is a wealth of Vidyas. I think it would be interesting once we have a chat about Vidyas.
I thought it was tonight.
What there is a Vidya. There's so much time. We would like probably to do a short meditation. There is a Vidya. It's called Bhuma Vidya. Bhuma Vidya. I would say probably there are two main Vidyas I would like to mention to you. Sat Vidya, Chandogya Upanishad. It's a Vidya in which it's probably one of the main Vidyas of the Vedantic philosophy, the Vedantic school. It's the Vidya in which the Guru instructs the disciple about the famous great sentence, thou art dead. You are dead. There was an inquiry, and the disciple was asking about the nature of truth, about the truth. And the master takes him by hand, in his mind, throughout the explanation of ultimately everything, everything, everything. You are dead. You are everything is around. It's 9 times in this video. It is reiterated that whatever is full, is complete, and is absolute, immanent, immortal, and infinite, thou art dead. You are dead. There is no difference in space. There is no difference in time. There is no difference in space because the all is the all. There is no difference in time because it's immortal and infinite. There is no difference in causation. There is no cause and effect. It is within itself, self-contained. I'm going back to what we said about the structure of our mind of space, time, and causality. That has got a capital T. Is not that chair. That is the big that. Beware, there is a man telling to somebody else, you are that. First thing we say is, okay, but there's 2 of them, and he's telling somebody else, you are that. That simple phrase has to land in the mind and has to be meditated upon to realize that there is no actual difference between the 2 men talking between them. It's like one man talking to himself about you are dead. It's the self-realization of what we really are. The common principle that makes us intelligible, which is a conscience, universal common aspect of consciousness that we perceive separated, ultimately will not be. I realize that I jumped a step in here. In the process of inquiry and realization of the inexistence of this boundary, there is an important aspect that I forgot was the most important one. Sorry, guys. The ego. The perception of me and you. Perception of me, you, everybody. There is an interesting description of the structure of our mind, how it is constructed, how it is made, really. It has what is called manas. It's kind of a sphere outside us. It's in our mind. It's what actually receives the information from our senses. We have chitta. Chitta is where we store all our memories. You have buddhi. Buddhi is the highest intelligence and the highest nature of a mind. And out of those arises ahamkara, the ego sense, the perception of egoistic perception. Is the self as the lower self. It's us, and the perception of a body.
Manas comes out of under ego though.
Sorry.
Manas is created out
It's-
of ego,
Yes.
so it's not above.
When we do perceive through our senses and we do isolate ourselves into space through our manas, our perception of the senses, is when we are creating the base, is actually what powers the perception of ahankara. Are the two separated?
They know.
Actually, we could play with it. What stays first and what not.
That's true.
They go on hand by hand, probably. Or they're just the same thing. There is one wise man, Swami Krishnananda. He used to say, giving a suggestion to his disciples, to identify themselves with everything that is around us. This is part of one of many possible Vedantic meditations, is trying to put ourselves and identifying ourselves with what is around us, overcoming that division in space that we were mentioning before. What we are challenging in this way is that separation, that sense of separation, that just because of understanding of shapes and names, we are all different because of the perception of the senses to the imperfected mind. We do perceive everything as apart or separated or outside of us. There is in Bhuma Vidya, it is said that where nothing else is seen, nothing else is heard, nothing else is understood, that is the infinite plenum. Where something else is seen, where something else is heard, where something else is understood, that is a little finite. Little finite. What is infinite is immortal. What is finite is mortal. Bhuma Vidya is regarded as one of the main Vedantic Vidyas. And actually gives us a clear relationship between our senses and what would be perceived as mortal and our non-senses perception not through our senses, not dual, and what is immortal.
still have infinite time.
Yes.
Just have a question. When you said about either identifying with or not identifying, the two systems, like you explained that last week. I mean, depending on your temperament, you would go on which way, whether you identified that this is not my arm and this is not me and this is not me, or whether you'd go, the chair is me, this is me, this is me. When would you go which way?
There are, first of all, we say that there are Advaita schools and Dvaita schools, right? What we mentioned and we try to perceive as possible is that there is one ultimate truth and different way to reach it. To reach not the truth physically, but the experience of it. It's a little bit of a leap of faith, right? We are just assuming to some extent, or we are kind of guessing that just because all of us have the same structure, the same qualities, the same build, the same mind structure to some extent, we are told by somebody that whatever we do in terms of integrated system of evolution, self-evolution, somebody told us that we would end up with the same perception, with the same experience. How do we know that that is the experience?
Excuse me, if I may ask, if you were talking about two cells in space, or two atoms or particles that are actually in space, like in a way away from each other, but one can sense what the other one's doing. How does the consciousness or the whatever it's happening, like even if they're like in another galaxy or whatever maybe, and they're still able to work out what's happening with the other one, what's the principle behind that?
Yes, I would like just a
sure.
little bit, just finish what I was saying before. What I was saying is, we do reach a point in which we would be able to interact constructively and harmoniously with what's around us. What we perceive as around us probably might not be anymore around us. Why do I say that? Siddhis. What is Siddhi? Siddhi is superpowers. It is said in Chandogya Upanishad that you do master what you do understand. It is said in the same Upanishad that you are not anymore bound to the laws that you fully comprehend. Let's say that a man fully understands the law of gravity. Would it be that he's able to levitate? This is about understanding, but is this just understanding? Or is understanding? Why don't we make in yoga very complex integrals or computer calculations or stuff like that? We do meditate. Because we do bring the essence of our experience into a deep self-contemplation, bringing it into our daily life, validating it continuously, and challenging it continuously in order to still polish it day by day. Continuous meditation. In Bhagavad Gita, there are tens of slokas in which we have reference to continuous meditation. Nitya yukta upasate. It's continuous, 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 continuous. It is said you wake up in the morning thinking about the absolute, and you go to sleep in the evening thinking about the absolute.
So in life it becomes a walking meditation, a walking living meditation.
Cutting tomatoes is a beautiful meditation. Moving a chair is a beautiful meditation. There are some meditations that are easier than others. You can imagine that cleaning up a floor is a beautiful meditation because we are removing rittis. We are, for example, getting dry leaves. We are cleaning up our mind. This is sannyasa. We are getting actually rid of some. We can identify ourselves with cleaning up ourselves. This is karma yoga.
So first, you do a lot of karma yoga.
It is. There was a question last time. We were talking. Is there just one yoga, or are they different yoga? What kind of yoga you should go through? They probably should close. Actually, there is only one yoga, but the different flavors of it depend on our disposition. There is only one path of evolution for ourselves. For all of us, is an holistic approach to ourselves. Is putting, like free climbing, putting our foot there, and then there, and then there, and then there, but all our bodies lifted. We would put a foot on Karma Yoga and a hand on Jnana Yoga, and then probably another hand or a finger on Bhakti Yoga. Sorry, just 1 second. About your question about perceiving
Two atoms or particles. in
two different
space.
particles.
But they're miles apart, but they still somehow know what's happening to the other one.
Just since we are after the time, you just tell me when we can close any time if you want. I just close in just 2 seconds.
I would finish the question and
Yes.
then meditate.
Yes.
Or no, we can even just go and have a cup of tea. I don't know your time constraints as well, so we can
Yeah,
even.
we can have a cup of tea for
yeah.
Maybe meditate and talk.
Or we can
talk
not meditate.
over.
We can meditate next time. We'll put beyond the time if you want.
How long is it? Quick one?
I guess, guys, it's we don't have to.
Yeah, up to you.
We don't have
You
to.
just have the babysitter at home, but
We don't have to actually, but it's it depends on what would you like.
Put your hand up if you'd like to meditate.
Yeah.
So,
I had a just a little bit. Okay.
Oh, what's the now we go. Oh, we're in meditation. Or were you
Is that
answering
together?
the
So-
question?
We can while we have a cup of tea, we can have a chat.
Okay.
yeah.
Find a comfortable position. Try to be straight with your spine. Chin is a little bit downwards and backwards in order to stretch the the cervicals. Breathing with a lower abdomen. Find a comfortable position. And we perform the Vayuka, so breathing with sound, which is our commitment to stillness. I will do it first and then do it the second time together with you. A strong sound, retaining the air in the throat and then releasing with the sound. All together. Then we do another Vayuka, softer one, which is to see our meditation in our breathing. Now, putting the attention into our breathing, we do keep our body still. The stillness of the body is the stillness of our mind. We do observe thoughts arising like the sun, and we watch them disappear like a sunset. Don't judge. Focusing on our breathing, we are inhaling prana, the life principle, taking it to our heart, where the Atman dwells. Ishvara, Brahman. It is said that in our heart we would contain all the universe. And by establishing ourselves in the Atman, universe. Is exhaling in us. And when we exhale, the universe is inhaling. It's an exchange of energy. We inhale prana from the universe, and we give back in return our one, our experience to the universe. Breathe. Be aware of your body, your hands, your legs, your shoulders. And breathing, slowly open your eyes. You can look on the floor.
Thank you.
We just recite Om 3 times.
Yes,
I will
just
close.
quickly, please.
Sat. Jaya Bolo Shri Sadgurunatha Maharaj Ji ki Jaya. Jaya Shri Bhagavan Ji ki
Jaya.
Jaya. Jaya Sitaram.
Jai Sita.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was quite a magical experience.